Good morning and welcome to Jew in the City Speaks with your host, Allison Josephs, also known as Jew in the City. If you've been following what we've been up to for the last couple months, we are building something really exciting. It's called the JITC Hollywood Bureau. I actually just found a video I did on Instagram over the summer, the day that I found out that there are all these minority groups that have actually existed. Now I know they've existed for decades. The Muslim Pac Hollywood Bureau, NAACP Hollywood Bureau. It's the strangest thing because since I started Jew in the City in 2007, I was having conversations with people in the Hollywood world about how do we become consultants on a TV show or movie? How do we change the way that our community is reported on? And I always kind of hit dead ends with these inquiries with people in Hollywood. And maybe it's because they didn't consider Jews minorities. Like, even though there are so few of us in the world, because thankfully we have achieved so much, we somehow don't have this minority status, even though we are literally under attack constantly in modern times, in all times. And so sort of the Jewish community is always like, we don't fit into any other box or any other category. And it sort of makes things weird to categorize. And so over the summer, I discovered that there are these other organizations. I didn't realize at the time, but now I know because I've spoken to leaders within all these different groups. They've been around for decades. And not only are they changing the way that their communities are being reported on in TV shows and movies, they also do policy work. So the exciting news about us building the JITC Hollywood Bureau, because when I first heard about it, I was like, well, we need one of those. And then at a certain point, I was like, well, we'll just build it. And the question is, how do we know how to build this? And the answer is we really don't. But the thing is that we've never actually known how to do anything that we've done. We've just kind of done it by deciding that we're going to do it and then figuring out. That's really been the secret to everything that's happened in this organization. Very much a Nasev and Nishma approach of this is a problem. This is a problem we care about. This is a problem that we're passionate about. And we'll just figure out a way to do it. Because it's been done before, so it must not be impossible. And so that's really how we've built out this organization, our work with Mako members, and now this Hollywood Bureau. So one of the things that I discovered by talking to these different bureau leaders, so far we've spoken to the disability group, the Muslim group, the Black group. We're going to be speaking to the Hispanic group soon. They do policy work where they're not only worried about how the community is being reported on, but they're also worried about how is their community being treated sort of in the world at large in different industries. And what I would say is, although there are many areas where Shomer Shabbos and Orthodox Jews are able to participate professionally, there are still some troubling areas where we are not. I would say entertainment, media, and sports are some areas where it's still pretty hard to be a Shomer Shabbos Jew in these spaces. And my feeling is it is 2022 now. Happy Gentile New Year. We need to do better now. We need to do better. If the world is talking about inclusivity and diversity, we need to do better. And so we're going to get into this space too. How are we doing it? I don't know yet, but we're going to talk to someone today who I would say is sort of at the forefront of the type of people that this matters to. She's already there. Her name is Esti Ackerman. We had the privilege of honoring Esti several years back at our Orthodox Jewish All-Star Awards for being an amazing table tennis player. She, since she was a child, she has been ranked nationally. Her career has been so exciting to watch. The great thing about All-Stars is that they are just sort of constant, Kiddush Hashem makers. There's almost always wonderful things to report about them. And so we're going to talk a little about Esti's background, and then sort of the more pressing thing for me is what happened recently at the U.S. Table Tennis Open and Shabbos, and how those two things didn't work together so well. So Esti, thank you so much for joining us here and for coming back to Jew in the City.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to be with you, Allison. Even though the All-Star dinner was quite a number of years ago, I always feel inspired and empowered by your words and your posts and everything that you're really doing for our nation. So I really thank you for the humbling experience in talking with you today. And yeah, thank God. Baruch Hashem, I've also been keeping up with my training and definitely not stopping, and only realizing that goals, and competition are only becoming bigger and greater. And with that, as we all know, challenges and bumps only increase as well. So
We just got a little update because the last time that we honored you, you must have been, I don't know, like 13 years old. And we actually had this fun thing at the All-Star Awards. I think it was our second All-Star Awards. We created like a little event where we let donors play SD Ackerman, Can You Beat Like a 13-year-old at ping pong? It was a fun way to raise money. Now, we don't always have All-Stars that have something so fun to be able to say, like, raise some money for the organization and play this kid phenom. So you grew up in the meantime. You're 20 years old now. You're at
yes.
Stern College, and can you give us like a sort of like the quick update on your career, since we talked to you last time?
Sure. I mean, from 13 years old, I want to say a big highlight was in 2016. I became the first Orthodox Jewish athlete to ever try out for the Olympics for the United States, which I
Amazing.
never would have imagined receiving such a title at such a young age of only 14. I was not in Rio, Brazil that summer. I did fall short, only 11 spots away, which, I was content. I believe there's millions of women in America, so I felt 11 spots away isn't too shabby. But obviously, people know my personality is the gold and gold only. I wasn't in Rio, Brazil, but I was at Houston, Texas that summer, where I did get the gold for girls under 16 singles and doubles. So people considered the junior Olympic gold medalist one of my biggest highlights today in my career. And let's see, I graduated high school, Baruch Hashem. Central was an awesome 4 years of my experience. I then went to seminary where I spent a year in Mechala. And besides studying and growing, I was also representing the top Jerusalem women's team, where it was really one of the coolest experiences. Before I even got to Eretz Yisrael, the coach was in contact with my dad and just explaining what their league consists of, and I felt that it was just going to be a great experience to keep up with my training and my physical on and off the court. Believe it or not, our team was actually doing really well. My partner and I had awesome matches against different cities, Lod, Rehovot, and really traveling. And, my year in seminary, unfortunately, was with the COVID. So we all flew back home in March. And unfortunately, I was not really able to finish. I believe we were in the semis of the final round there. But I think my Israeli teammates didn't miss me and definitely hoped the best for myself. And yeah, so from that, then it was technically 2020 with the whole pandemic. And unfortunately, it was the Shabbos small hump with the Olympic trials where they did not, able to change the Olympic trials, which was held in California, which we obviously know was pushed off due to COVID, in Tokyo, but that was a little bit of a bummer.
So can we just stop there for a second then? So in 2016, you were able to try out. They were able to accommodate Shabbos that year.
The trials was Thursday, Friday, and Saturday with the winner after every day. Obviously, I only had 2 days to try out, Thursday and Friday, rather everyone else having 3.
Got it. Okay. And then 4 years later, they were not able to or willing to accommodate you. It was when it was, and that was all there was.
Correct. Yeah. I was training in Yerushalayim, having the mindset of, being flown back to the States and going. And unfortunately, it was a little bit wild. I remember I was in Israel. My family was dealing with media calls back here. It was a 7-hour time zone. What in the world? How is it not? And I remember I was spending a Shabbos in Neve Daniel Friday while trying to speak to News 12 Long Island in terms of what I thought. And, it was, definitely very respectful in terms of Olympic trials when they come out with the draw, with the form, with the, rules to change is probably almost impossible. However, it's always a miracle sometimes that you never know, things could happen.
So going into it, back in 2016, when it worked out okay, you were just as surprised that it worked out meaning, did you start any conversations ahead of time? Oh, by the way, I'm a Sabbath observer. Can you accommodate me? Like, was there any sort of outreach beforehand to kind of, do you approach at these different places like the US Open or the Olympic trials? Do you have a mechanism? Because again, let's just, remind our listeners that you're in uncharted territory. And we're in an age now where, obviously, as we said earlier, I said earlier, Jews in general, and it's not even that recent. It's only in the last couple generations that we have these positions, in different, top banks and law firms and, places like that, and even sports teams, because we were barred from participation for, a certain number of years. When the country was founded, I found out recently, Jews weren't even able to practice their religion in every single state, which, finding that out was kind of like, oh, I thought this was a country founded for religious freedom. And it's kind of, oh, I guess it's a broader conversation. We sort of have been raised with so many freedoms that we don't necessarily even realize what was going on at the founding of the country. So, we have had our first, Major League Baseball, drafts in the Orthodox community in the last year. There's BD Deutsch is doing something, sort of historic as well. So you're a trailblazer in this space, Esty. So, yeah, what has been sort of your mechanism up until now in terms of, reaching out to different places like the US Open and, the Olympics when you come into to try out or compete?
Yeah, sure. So really what I would start with is the United States Table Tennis Association, really, I believe, became fully aware of my value of Judaism and my observing of the Sabbath, I would say first in 2012, when, if people know, that one became a big and exciting match in Las Vegas when I was only 11 years old at the time. And there was, talk that I was keep, winning and going, which, you obviously don't always know. You cannot predict, certain outcomes, of course. But when the match fell out on Friday night, and when I definitely, had what to grapple with in terms of competing at 11 years old in a national championship with media, umpires, the uniform, what should I do? I came with the conclusion of not playing, and figuring that my religion and Judaism is and will always be my number one priority in life, with obviously, Shabbos afternoon, after davening, Zmiros, lunch, totally fine to go down to your basement. But I just felt then, that Hashem wouldn't have want me to do that. So from that little, experience, which happened to have, in my opinion, turned out to probably one of my biggest moments and probably climax of my career in terms of how the story hit the world and, thankfully inspired and affected many people, which was really just tremendous, as people, spoke about now, and I'm sure what we will get to a little bit recently, how, the little, 15 minutes of fame, which is something I don't look for, hit in terms of putting the paddle down for Shabbos, not my skill and talent of table tennis, which sometimes people like to back up and harp on because it's definitely there, thankfully. But in terms of, what really hits the world, in terms of stressing, how faith, in someone's religion could really come above their hobby or passion, so to say, and then what to do from there. But really, the United States Table Tennis Association has always been, respectful and feasible, in terms of, different things that have come up. When in 2016, yes, we were having 2 days to try out fair shots, obviously coming in with a disadvantage of not playing the third, but that is just how it came out. I will not, say that, we were, I guess, like talking with them like 4 months before that it like mamish has to be on the Thursday and then the Friday early. That is just, how it has worked out. And, I do understand, in terms of the bigger retrospect of thinking that if they're going to accommodate, one person for this, then they probably have to rearrange everything to make sure it's equal for all religions, all things, or all, different categories like that. But yeah, I mean, from like, then, they definitely know about me. I try to only be an ambassador of the sport and even trying to popularize it in America. I think the United States Table Tennis Association has appreciated, my work and, the media coverage that I've gotten, in terms of getting, the sport really out there, as ping pong is actually the second most popular sport in the world, behind soccer.
Wow.
America has not, yeah, it's pretty interesting. America has not, I guess, picked it up too much just yet, but don't worry. And yeah, so from then, I think they realized, what I have going on and what my values are.
So then what happened with the US Table Tennis Open from a couple weeks ago? Can you tell us, sort of walk us through kind of how you played, what the events were, what didn't work out because of Shabbos?
Yeah, totally. So I was in Las Vegas 2 weeks ago at the US Open, which is, just to clarify for everybody, the biggest tournament for the entire country of the year. They had over 800 players from all over, including some foreigners, and we had 100 plus ping pong tables in the Mandalay Bay Convention Center. Really, really a sight to see. And my 13th trip there, my dad always likes to joke that we have not gambled once, as we like to win and play on different tables in Vegas. And, I was excited. I was entered in 7 different events based on my age, based on my ability. I was playing, with the smooth rubber. I was also in hard bat, which is a different, rubber with the pimples. I was also in sandpaper, which is a little bit more of the old school style. And in one of the age events, specifically for women under 21, which was definitely, an exciting event, as it is probably technically my last year playing, as I'm still 20. And it was the first day of the tournament. It started, technically on Friday, and the round robin group was overall a little bit pushed back, as I think it was technically called for maybe 10 in the morning or 11 in the morning, but unfortunately did not get started to play at 1 or 1:30, due to, just, I think, a push, just from everything that they were trying to manage as a whole. And in the round robin group, I was upsetting girls, that were ranked above me, which was really, really cool and exciting. And then we came to the realization that it was about 3:30, and I, Baruch Hashem, won my group, which means you advance to the single elimination round, which was going to be the semifinals, so down already to the final 4. And I recall that we spoke to the tournament director and the officials, saying that the semifinals match was probably not going to begin probably till around 7:30, 8 p.m. They were having a lot of delays and a lot of, poorly run situations, which was totally understandable, but just, players were realizing that a lot of things were being just pushed behind. And, we were just leaving off, we're just stating, if you can, Saturday night, we'd be more than happy to play, would really, really be much appreciated. And as they knew, there was a lot of things going on, and they probably didn't even have that match scheduled yet. So that's why we were putting our input in, because if you can, the next day would totally be great. So Shabbos, we had a beautiful experience in Henderson, which was really, lovely to be back at and reunite a little bit with our Vegas people. I actually had the opportunity of speaking to the shul, after Shabbos morning davening. And after our Shabbos, we anxiously look at our phones, and we did see that they defaulted me, unfortunately. No text, no email, no call, just put it on the website. Obviously my name, my spot did not move on, and the other person was able to. I was obviously disappointed, extremely, saddened, at the time. If any player, in any sport knows, we love the competition, we love to play. Not getting the opportunity, does not usually sit so well. And so that was that. So technically I received the bronze medal in the under 21 women age. We were still, going to go back at it. We had a lot of nice events, still to maybe grab a gold. And in the hard bat doubles event, this was where my partner, Larry Hodges, and myself were doing really well. And we made it all the way to the semifinals, where we were going to the board, and the tournament officials to check where, what table and, a time for the next exciting semifinals match. And we were hearing and coming to sentences I was extremely shocked at, but of hearing that the other team, which by the way is 2 players, consists of having conversations with the director and, the officials, of stating that it was about 10 p.m. at night, which they felt extremely tired, and getting the accommodation in terms of agreeing to have this match tomorrow morning. So when I heard that, and, my partner as well, we were just very, very, shocked and just confused, because meanwhile, we worked really hard the entire day till 10 at night. And the next match was supposed to play, right then and there. And I didn't realize that accommodations, and certain requests can be honored and can be answered when only 2 days ago, keep in mind, I was totally shut down for a religious reason. To the fullest respect, people that come to the US Open know that matches go up until midnight, and you're very, very much prepared to give it your all from sunrise to very late at night. And it just, really, really didn't sit well. We were very, very appalled, just in terms of hearing how did other people, more than one person. And this was towards the beginning of the tournament, my event, my under 21 women, where I thought, things are more organized, and settled. If it's the end of the tournament, people might have left, might be complicated, things are wrapping up. But rather hearing about a double standard in 2021, now we're 2022, but was really, really unwell. I didn't, fully understand, why other humans were granted rights that I guess I wasn't. And, from that, we did play fair and square, the next morning, and my partner and I actually did win the gold medal.
Woo!
Which is great. I also brought home the gold medal for the sandpaper open event as well. I also brought home, so in total, 2 bronze and 2 golds, but realizing just from that, little point, that I'm sure, you'll have, maybe some follow-ups from, was definitely not easy hearing, was definitely a first. It was just eye-opening that.
Did you confront them, SD?
Yeah, I would say, that they definitely realized, I think, that they had a mistake / a big hiccup, so to say. My dad and I, really were just looking for an explanation, just maybe a reasoning. In my opinion, the word tired compared to a religious reason, I think there's what to scale from that. And, they had certain things that, because it was 10 p.m. at night or this or that. But I think it was pretty clear understanding that, certain people were at fault. And, really just what's in my heart and my mind is that I go to the tournament, I miss school, I'm not hanging out with friends, I surely dedicated a lot of effort, hard work, sweat and tears, and I just want the opportunity. So to be told that I didn't, and having other people, be granted that. And towards the end of the tournament, we learned as well that, certain things were accommodated as well, which was, not definitely pleasing to hear. I was just, again, looking just for the same as everybody else. I'm a player who also wants to compete, and who also wants to try to win the gold, and to just have the privilege, of being treated, I guess, the way everybody else is.
I mean, I think, because you are such an awesome player, you actually have a lot of power here to, change the conversation in your sport, and hopefully in a larger setting on this topic, because it's not okay. It's not okay. I mean, the First Amendment, to my knowledge, is that, there's supposed to be a reasonable accommodation for, religious needs. And the thing is that if they can accommodate for tired people, then certainly accommodations for, 1 or 2 people seem like it's possible within the sport. And I'm thinking, this has to be the sort of thing where there's just a framework that's developed for religious people in general, because I'm sure there are, religious Christians and Muslims that also have issues with the Sabbath in terms of competing with, in sporting events. And I think it's important that just a framework is built. There's other issues in the news these days that are kind of more, I guess, popular issues for people to get behind, different types of, diversity issues or different types of lifestyles that are very, trendy and popular to talk about. How do we accommodate? And I think religion is as old as, humanity. And I think it's considered in a lot of places, not popular, not, I mean, we have on one hand a protection, within the country, to grant religious freedom. On the other hand, I think in some of these industries that I mentioned at the beginning, sports, media, entertainment, there's just sort of a lack of a tolerance, a lack of, I don't know. It's hard to, it's kind of hard to understand, actually, to be honest, where the intolerance comes from, because ideally, sort of liberal values would include being able to, live my life as I see fit, and also protect your right to live your life as you see fit. And I think, we do the best when there are the most freedoms, for everyone to participate. So I'm so glad that you shared with us here. Just first of all, great job on your hard work and on your talent. And it's just something really I love just the fact that you've made the box bigger and just sort of paved the way for, young Orthodox Jewish kids to see that you can just do kind of cool out of the box things and be really at the top of your field. So that's just great, because people need to have the chance to have big dreams. And so, they say you can't be what you don't see. Like, you didn't see it and you did it anyway, but certainly for you, being that role model is awesome. And, why we gave you the all-star title is because your Jewish values and convictions are so important to you. So thank you for being, a trailblazer on that. But, kind of as we continue on this journey of this Hollywood Bureau, of sort of this policy work, I really do think we need to think about building a coalition of sort of the top athletes that are in the Orthodox world today. And what can we do? And also top athletes in other religious groups, to be honest, sort of getting together and saying, what have you been prevented from doing, due to your religious needs? And what can we present to, some of these large associations to say, we would love for there to be a framework, so that before things even begin, we get into a conversation about what our religious needs are, because there's a lot of industries that do accommodate, religious folks. And there's no reason why that framework can't be built out in these different industries. And I think it only hasn't been done because no one has done it yet. But I think, that could be something that we could, sort of continue to explore as time goes on. So sorry for the disappointment in, being defaulted and finding out on your, your phone
All
afterwards.
good, all good. I just take that bronze medal, and I think I realized that the title is not the bronze, rather. It's going to be called the Zachar Yom HaShabbos Lakacho medal, Allison, because I now have more meaning and more depth with it. And in terms of Ruchni aside, when people daven, they might underline certain things in their siddur or have certain names in mind. And I actually printed out the paper, where they defaulted me having my opponent go on and not my name. And I keep that in my siddur to have in mind when I talk to Hashem and say, by certain requests or certain moments, that Hashem, look what I gave up for you. And I think that's exactly the whole message, that whatever us Klal Yisrael is really being Moser Nefesh for, whatever we're sacrificing and giving up, hopefully Hashem could realize that these are merits that could be built up on our own personal account, and feel that certain goodness, certain brachos do need to be released.
Amazing. All right. Well, it's you have a big schus for the Klal Yisrael, and you should only continue to have opportunities to shine and opportunities to lead.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and thank you so much for listening. You can catch us same time, same place next week.